Hello and welcome. Today we've got Ismael Perez. And today we are going to be discussing how the Earth is in the middle of a cosmic war of many different worlds and dimensions. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicolasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Unless, of course, myself and Ismael can use our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Ismael, thank you for joining me. So how are you and what have you been up to?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me here. I'm great. I've actually been in the process of writing my second book now, which is a sequence to my first book, Our Cosmic Origin. And I've been, doing my best to get as much information out there as possible regarding, this cosmic and intergalactic war that the Earth is in the middle of, involving many races, many worlds. So, I've been really, really busy, on interviews, on different channels and stuff. So I'm doing my best to also bring about disclosure because, it's about that time. People of the Earth need to know the truth. They need to know about their galactic roots. They need to know about the multidimensional effect on the third dimensional Earth that we live in. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about to see, where all this is heading.
Absolutely. So do you believe that this Star Trek that we've been seeing on television for so many years now, it's actually a true story? What do you think about that?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. One of the things that I like to talk about is the secret space program and the fact that we do have interplanetary and stellar technology that is about 900 years ahead of the general public. So that's one of the things that I discuss, but it's real. There are many, many worlds out there that are categorized as a population 2 interstellar system that are already, going from one part of the galaxy to the next. And there is scientific evidence for that. It's very real. And I also believe it's a reality that is going to come to the forefront here on our planet very, very soon.
Okay, wow. Well, why don't you explain about the space program and there's viewers, watching for the first time. And I think many of my viewers haven't heard or know too much about the space program in the way that you would know. So maybe we could sort of go from the beginning and help me even understand exactly, because I would like to learn from you as well what it is. I mean, if you could explain that.
Sure. The secret space programs are associated with certain breakaway groups that have actually established an infrastructure, not only throughout our galaxy, but through the entire Milky Way. There are different categories of groups. And some of them are serving the nefarious, negative extraterrestrial agendas as they are aligned with these negative regressives. And then, of course, some of them are aligned with the benevolent forces of the guardian races. So these are the different breakaway groups. So we have the main one is known as, I'm going to start with the ones that are the nefarious ones. So the first one was known as the Dark Fleet, which was developed in the early 1930s when Hitler struck a chord with the Draco reptilians from Orion. And so they created this treaty that allowed Hitler to join the Orion Galactic Empire in their establishment of galactic dominance back in the 1930s. And this was when the Galactic War was still in full swing before it reached completion in 2016 in favor of the light, thank God. But the second program is associated with a treaty between the House of Rothschild, or what we call the corporations of this planet that is pretty much controlled by the House of Rothschild, and the Draco themselves. And that became known as the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. Now, this program was more about establishing some sort of interplanetary business where the elites of our planet had an agreement with many extraterrestrial groups as far as like making money and trade up in space. So they're all about, a lot of the black budget programs and unacknowledged special access programs have been involved with these breakaway groups. And so that's where we get the term black budget. All this money that is being funneled, billions of dollars worldwide by the superpowers, it has been going into these breakaway groups. And so those are the two groups that are mainly associated with the dark agenda of the negative regresses, or in other words, they're aligned with the Orion Empire of the Draco reptilians. Now, another group that is kind of in between, and this was like a bone that was given to a lot of the nations that understood that the superpowers had already access to advanced alien technologies, is known as the Global Galactic League of Nations. And what they are is they're a bunch of billionaires that have been sworn to secrecy in order for them to go up there in space and kind of have like a, space Disneyland. They have like beautiful, amusement parks, beautiful space colonies that have infrastructures that they're able to pretty much, live like a Star Trek type of life. So this is called the Global Galactic League of Nations. Now they're kind of like neutral, they don't really lean towards the battle between good and evil. Now the benevolent groups that are associated with the Galactic Federation and the Guardian races are known as Solar Warden, Radiant Guardians, and Radiant Glory. So Solar Warden was established in the early 1950s when the Draco were pretty much, in alignment with the Draconian Empire. They were bringing the entire galaxy under a galactic tyranny. So in order to prevent that from happening, a lot of the Guardian races formed an alliance with certain members of the White Hats in association with the Navy fleets to create a benevolent group that would act as some sort of police force that would protect not only our solar system from invading, negative ETs, but also to go out there and join the battle against the Draco Orion Empire and the Dark Fleet. And that's the reason why we eventually won the war, thanks to our super soldiers. So Solar Warden, they're like the benevolent secret space force. Now, Radiant Guardians, because Nicholas, we are dealing with many, many universes. And there is scientific proof that we're part of a multiverse. So Solar Warden is instrumental within our galaxy and within our local universe, which is, by the way, local universe number 84. In an organized cosmos, every universe is registered. But Radiant Guardians has been involved in a cosmic war that goes beyond the Draco reptilians, because it turns out that at the highest level of reality, the ultimate enemy is artificial intelligence. And this has been a huge issue that has been plaguing the cosmic community, the many galaxies and the many universes for billions of years. And this is something that's, I guess, considered next level disclosure. So Radiant Guardians, fortunately, have been assigned to the rescuing programs of these other universes that have been invaded by a very aggressive, invasive AI that has been actually destroying many galaxies in the last billions of years. And this is proven, scientifically. In 2018, scientists published a report that in the outskirts of our universe, galaxies are just disappearing. And they don't understand why they're just like disappearing for no reason. Well, the reason being is because they're being sucked up and assimilated by this invasive AI that is out there in many universes doing the same thing. They're pretty much trying to destroy the organic way of life. And so that's what Radiant Guardians is doing. Radiant Guardians is out there actually bringing, the restoration of many worlds and galaxies from this invasive AI. Now, so within Radiant Guardians and Solar Warden, we do have a super soldier program that involves genetic engineering and that involves the genetic engineering and the enhancements of certain humans that were taken off world to go fight in these cosmic or these galactic wars. And the reason being that they picked us is because we carry the highest diversity of genetics. In other words, we only use 4% of our full genetic material, which means that the other 96% is untapped potential. So no other race out there in the galaxy or in the universe has our potential, because we're considered, an amalgamation of many races. Like we're pretty much the ultimate hybridized races, where many metaterrestrials and extraterrestrial races long ago, in order to put an end to this war against AI, came together to pretty much create a solution. And that solution is now coming into fruition as our junk DNA, or as it's called, our dormant DNA, is once again beginning to activate. So what these programs did is they kind of jump-started that. They took about a few thousand people from the Earth, and they genetically upgraded them, just like how we see in Captain America and these Marvel movies, to use more than just 6% of their capacity. And so those that were used in solar warding were actually genetically enhanced to use 15 to 20%, which made them telepaths. Some of them had telekinesis. Some of them were extremely clairvoyant, and they were able to communicate and pick up on any deception when it came to these, interplanetary meetings with other extraterrestrials. And then some of them that were used in Radiant Guardians, which involved other universes, were actually genetically enhanced to about 50 to 60% of their genetic material. And at that level of power, they were flying. They were controlling gravity. They were generating electricity through their hands like Zeus. They were literally superhuman. Some of them were able to teleport. Some of them were able to control weather. Some of them were able to manipulate matter at will. So those are what we called it within the programs the elite super soldiers. And they were just about 100 individuals. So those 100 individuals are actually considered the heroes in the cosmos. So I know to some this might seem like science fiction, but the truth of the matter is, as we go into disclosure, as we go deeper into the rabbit hole, everything that we've been known to be science fiction or fantasy is actually more likely to be real than what we've been told or taught.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so those are the different, programs that have been in operation since the 1930s.
Wow, this is one of my favorite topics, and I can have so many questions, but I don't know where to begin. So we are for decades, if not hundreds of years or thousands of years, we've been enslaved by the dark forces. Is that what you understand? Yeah.
Yes.
And you're saying that, and Alex Collier, when you say that, we're a hybrid and we're special, if you like. Alex Collier, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he says that we're we are genetic royalty, he says. We're able to create, we're able to manifest, and we're a hybrid of many, many, different. So who made us? Why do we exist in the first place? I know our souls are made by God and we are part of God, and that's the soul is one thing. But who actually, how were humans created where, the realm of where we reincarnate into?
As physical beings with bodies? Is that what you mean?
Yes, our bodies, of course.
Okay, yeah. So before the creation of any material realms or before the dissension of spirit into matter, we were actually spirit beings. In our original state, we're all light beings, in essence. And through a process which I mentioned in my book called involution, which is the process of descending from higher frequencies into lower dimensions, we gradually solidified and became denser. So that process took billions and billions of years. But as far as like the biological species or human-like species, the original human was actually made in the first universe. So we're part of a system of over 700,000 organized local universes, with our universe being pretty much the melting pot of it all. And our galaxy being the melting pot of our universe, and then our Earth being the cosmic library, the ultimate, hotspot and melting pot of the entire multiverse. And that's why we're so unique. But in essence, we were actually made by 12 different races that have been amalgamating the different genealogies from all these different universes into 12 different categories. And from those 12 different races, they actually contributed their DNA to make us. So in our original form, we were known as the Terra Nusium Orifeme Angelic race. So we were made as a mixture of all the races in the cosmos. And so that's how we were made. But this was a process that's been going on for billions of years, Nicholas. Throughout those billions of years, our DNA has been modified. It has been edited many and many of times, including the last of the times where it was edited was during the times of ancient summer, right? Where the Anunnaki also genetically altered us. But that's a different story. But overall, to be honest, we've been in design for billions of years. But the original humans in our galaxy were known as the Lyrans.
Lyra. Yeah, Lyra. We come from Lyra, don't we?
We all come from Lyra, exactly.
So what was their reason for genetically modifying our DNA? And are the reasons same today why they want to genetically modify our DNA?
Well, a lot of it goes, it ties into this cosmic war with AI. So in a sense, going back in time, the central race, which exists in the highest levels of reality in the eternal spheres, which is what I refer to in my book as the central universe, the always existing realms, they actually had to step in because unfortunately, this AI that infiltrated our universe and other universes was able to assimilate all the way up to the 11th dimension. And the 11th dimension is where they actually were stopped by the central race. Because if they had access to the 12th and 13th dimension, then they would have access to the realms of infinity and therefore just destroy everything. And we wouldn't even be here at this time. So that was like a smart move. So the whole plan to put an end to this cosmic virus was to combine the essences and energetic signatures of all the terrestrial races in all the universe in one genome. And so that's why that's the reason why we were, developed in the first place, to put an end to this AI cosmic war, because they wanted to create an ultimate super race that would not only be the new guardians of Earth, because Earth is at the center or the hub of the multiverse as the cosmic living library, but they also wanted us to be the guardian race of the entire cosmos from this Earth. So in a sense,
when you say
spoiler is right. We are genetic royalty.
Absolutely, no, definitely. So who says that? I mean, not who says that, but who wanted us to, who wanted to form us so that we could, be the solution?
The central race of Havona. The central race of Havona is the original race that has always existed. They are actually where every human race comes from. They are the progenitor race, and in a sense, they're also us in the future as we reach 100% of our full capacity. So we're kind of like at the center of that. So they are the ones that initiated this solution to eventually put an end to this AI war. And so the AI is also doing the reverse of that. The AI is using transhumanism, to develop their own version of human 3.0 or a super race. And this is something that they've been doing in many worlds. So that actually relates to what's going on here with, with medicine that they're giving people and stuff. That is part of that. It's part of changing and modifying our DNA from an organic to a, cybernetic machine type of artificial cyborg. So that ties into that.
So who do you think created this AI?
The AI was created by Lucifer. Or Samana, his original name was
like a dark, should we say a dark energy?
A very dark energy, yes. And there is a very close resemblance, or may I say, they're actually one and the same between Archon energy and artificial intelligence. So when we develop AI, or when they developed AI, there still needs to be some sort of pre-existing consciousness to possess it, as an avatar. And so that's why they developed AI back in the 11th creation. So we're part of 12 creations. Our local universe and our Earth hangs in the 12th creation. And that explains why everything's in the numerical value system of 12, the 12 houses of the zodiac, the 12 chakras, the 12 strands of DNA, 12 tribes of Israel, so on and so forth. But in the 11th creation, which was known as the universe of mechanics and technology, that's where the original AI began, which was like, 900 billion years ago. And so from that universe, that AI was able to destroy that universe. It took over all biological life form and assimilated it. And at the same time, it figured out how to enter into the 12th creation. And just within the 12th creation, we have about approximately over 100,000 organized local universes. So it was able to, invade many of those.
So why does it want to invade the universes?
Because it wants to destroy all organic lives. The ultimate agenda for the AI, on top of siphoning our energy, because they're also using our living systems as batteries, by the way, through black holes. Black holes is something that the AI has been using as the ultimate weapon to suck in all the universal life force of living universes in order to empower their multiverse. So in a way, they're also creating their own version of their own multiverse, which is inhabited by cybernetic artificial intelligences. So what they're doing is they're trying to destroy us, assimilate us, in order to create their phantom matrix multiverse, and then keep that going. But what they need to do is, in order to keep that going for eternity, is they need to have access to our eternal spheres, which is beyond the 12th dimension. And so that's why we were created, in order to stop them from reaching beyond the 12th dimension.
So let me just get this straight. We are not made. We were not created by AI, but maybe the Greys and the Dracos, they were created by AI. What do you think about that?
Yes, they were. Actually, the Dracos and the Greys have been working for the AI. So on a galactic level, the war has been going on with the Dracos and the Greys, right? But on a cosmic level, the wars have been going on with AI. And they do have a name. They're known as the Animus, Animus. That's the AI collective. And then associated with that, you have different groups like the Verdants, the Borga, which is like a group of really advanced AI. We also have the Omicrons, the Necromitans, and these are like different AIs that nobody really talks about because, again, they're operating throughout the multiverse.
So are all the Greys bad? Like every single one of them? I know if not, the majority are, but is there like one or two Greys that are good, do you think?
I think there's only 2% of the Greys that have shifted over to the light throughout the Galactic Wars, yes. But for the most part, the reason the Greys became negative in service to the Luciferian agenda of service to self, when they joined the Draco, was because long time ago they used to be a humanoid race, and they actually ended up they blew up their own planet through nuclear war. So what they did is they went into the inner planet known as Apex, and then they did away with their sex organs, and they also did away with their emotional body, so they couldn't reproduce organically anymore. So all they were doing was just cloning themselves. But after a few million years of cloning, they realized that they were losing their soul, so they became cybernetic. And when they became cybernetic, they became easily controlled by the Draco, because they were all plugged into a mind hive, which is a Borg. Again, that's what they're trying to do here. All that medicine that they're giving people through, it's part of the transhumanist takeover of eventually hooking us up to a Borg.
Do
that
they
would have absolute control?
Do they eventually want us to be working for AI, if not killing us?
Yes, because they're after our genes, because we have, again, the most diversified genes in the cosmos. And also we have a gene known as the God gene, which allows us to evolve beyond the 13, 12, and 13 dimension. No other species in the cosmos has that ability like we do.
When you say gene, do you mean our bodies or the human body, or do you mean our souls? Because our bodies won't live forever, our souls will. So what do you mean by that?
It is embedded in our biology. Yes, there is a gene that is an immortal gene. And there is a gene that if we activate, our bodies would literally transform from a carbon-based DNA to a crystalline DNA, allowing us to access multidimensionals. And really, we're in a way the ultimate organic quantum computer. If we were to access more than just 20% of our capacity. So that's how we were designed.
So if one of us or a human being with those genes died now, would they still carry those genes?
Their descendants, yeah.
Oh,
we
so
all have to
embedded in their soul then, that those kind of genetics.
Absolutely, yes. Well, there's a connection between our spirit and the vehicles that we embody. There has to be a resonance and stuff. So yes, definitely, it's connected to the bigger purpose.
So we can go. What does it mean to go beyond the 12th dimension into the 13th?
Well, it means that we were given a type of genetic coding, because everything boils down to a blueprint that was designed to go beyond the 12th dimension. And the reason that is happening, or will be happening in the near future, is because of the fact that we are the amalgamation of all the terrestrial races of the celestials put in one genome, but also we've been giving the blueprint that actually accesses the 12th dimension into the eternal spheres of the central universe. And that's the reason why this AI is after us, because we're the crown jewel of all creation. Once if they could access that gene, then they will unlock the gates to the 13th dimension into the mother universe and destroy all of creation. But again, we were inbuilt with that defense mechanism in order to stop them. And so that defense mechanism is now waking up due to these solar activation cycles that we're undergoing. The sun is, is constantly giving us CMEs, which is all going to lead to this grand solar flash, which is going to turn on our dormant DNA, allowing us to reach, higher levels of power. And so that's what we're. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no. So that's why we're expecting any day now. And they know that. That's why they're doing everything in their power to prevent the ascension from happening by trying to modify our DNA, but it's not going to work anymore.
So in reality, are there other human races in other worlds, in other galaxies who are cheering along that we are going to win this?
Yes, very much so. Not only are they here monitoring us on their huge motherships, but they're also here helping us, assisting us. It turns out that after our Solar Warden program won the war against the Dark Fleet and the Draco in 2016, the higher forces beyond the Galactic Federation, we're talking about ninth dimensional beings that are beyond our galaxy, came at around 2016 in order to seal our solar system in this special bubble of protection that is impenetrable in order to secure the ascensions and the positive timeline, of course, because of the fact that what happens here on this planet will have repercussions all throughout the multiverse.
Wow. So is it true when I've heard about stories where a reptilian can body snatch a human being and enter its consciousness into the human being and killing the person's consciousness? So you have a human body and a reptilian consciousness. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what's called possession. They use a technology where they're able to project their consciousness into a person and overtake them. Exactly.
And do you think that's, everywhere in our society with politicians and billionaires and, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, I don't know, or the royals, who knows? Or these
Right.
people who like to, do things, torturous things to, children, for example.
Well, yeah, that's why they create clones. A lot of those politicians and big tech owners are not the original ones. These are clones, actually. Clones that are being used as puppets by the dark AI or the invasive AI. See, the invasive AI came into our realm through the Stargates because of CERN. CERN for many years now has been trying to open up a portal between our dimension and other dimensions or other realities. And so that's how this invasive AI came in, because from an outer perspective, our solar system is sealed. As I speak, there are no more negative aliens that are coming to our solar system anymore. In fact, the few Dracos that are left, a lot of them are in hiding because they know that the solar flash is going to happen. And when it does, they're going to be burst. They're going to be killed. And so
explain to me, what does the solar flash look like to you when it does happen?
It's going to be a spontaneous transformation of the human species or everything on the planet. The entire solar system is actually going through it. So it seems like we're actually gearing towards that. We're being fed the CMEs that carry light codes that is communicating with our cellular data or our cells at a very micro level reality, giving it new codons, new mathematical blueprints to operate on. And that explains how many of our strands are coming back into assembling our other strands of DNA. So what's happening is that our bodies are in constant communication with the photonic energy. The photonic energy carries within information. It's packets, pockets of data coding. And so the grand solar flash will be the ultimate code that is going to actually shift our DNA from carbon-based DNA to crystalline DNA so that we could operate with all 12 strands all at the same time, which is actually going to dissolve the veil between the third dimension, the fourth, and the fifth. And we're going to be seeing things for what they really are. In other words, we're going to be seeing extraterrestrials walking among us, because they do walk among us, especially the positive ones. There's many Pleiadians that are actually walking among us already. It's just that we don't see them because they're in the fifth dimension. But once the solar flash takes place, it's almost like we're all going to be shifting to this, Earth, version of Earth that is already part of the galactic community.
Is it as if the Earth is going through a Stargate, and through this Stargate, the bad ones won't be able to ascend through this Stargate, only the good ones with the lights, the unsealed humans, if you like? I watched a documentary about Nikola Tesla and time travel and then the Stargates and stuff like that. What do you think about that? And also the star of Sirius?
It's very true. Time travel has been a reality for many advanced civilizations. In fact, we developed time travel in 1954. It started off with the Montauk Project, and then later, of course, developed into a Project Looking Glass, and so on and so forth. So there's been actually many time travelers. Many of us have actually come from the future. And that's what we call star seeds, by the way. I don't know if you ever heard of that term, but these are advanced beings that come from higher dimensions, which is, when you come from a higher dimension, it's because you're coming from the future, because everything is all happening at the same time. There is no such thing as time. It's just that we here in the third dimension see it in linear form from like point A to point B, but when in essence, it's all happening together at the same time. It's like a circle. with different spokes, and we're like at the hub. So so time travel is very real. It's actually something that's been happening since 1950s, and that explains the Mandela effect. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, I heard of it before, but can you explain, because I think I've forgotten.
Okay, because of the fact that both the forces of good and the forces of evil have been in some sort of time travel chess game to see which timeline becomes solid and solidified. And so due to that timeline war, they created different versions of the Earth where certain things in history didn't happen in that version of the Earth. And that explains why things are erasing from our own history, because we're actually quantum shifting into these parallel Earths that they created as a result of the time traveling. So that's what's been going on. That's called the Mandela effect.
Can you give an example of how things are erasing from our history?
Yeah. So one of the examples is, the original Star Wars movie that was created in 1970 and 1980s. In one of the in one of the scenes when Darth Vader is interacting with Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader says something about, and by the way, I am your father, or something like that. Well, he's in a different scenario. When you watch the movie again, it's actually, he says it in a different way. It's almost like they shifted it around. So that's just one example. But, we also see it in commercials. We also see it in different movie scenes where everything's just changed around to different wording. So that's just an example. Things are kind of changing around a little bit.
So when we hear Donald Trump or Elon Musk or any other politician who is on the good, and they're saying, publicly, they're saying that they're talking about Space Force or SpaceX or, the space program. I've heard these, words before. What do they expect the public to think when they say that, if most of the public is unaware that we're in a cosmic war?
They're planting the seeds, because they're, in essence, the white hats in association with the Earth Alliance, which is Solar Warden with members of the Galactic Federation that are now working together for the liberation of the Earth. They're actually prepping us for disclosure, because according to the ascending positive timeline, we do establish first contact. We do bring down the cabal and reveal the truth and hang these guys, and at the same time initiate restore the advanced alien technologies of light, like med beds and replicators, and bring a cure to everything. So according to the positive timeline, that's what they're gearing us to. So that's why they developed Space Force, because at the highest level of the White Hats, they are known as Solar Warden, and the Earth Alliance. So that's why that's happening.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of it is spiritual, like what you're talking about now, and all the cosmic stuff and the dimensions. And then here on Earth, we have the politics. How does a dimensional spirituality, war stuff overlap with the politics today? What do you think is happening? For an example, with Trump, and if he's going to run again or anything like that, how does that overlap to you?
Well, in the positive timeline, he does run again. He's actually, he comes back with JFK Jr., who actually faked his death. And, I know this is hard to believe, but the White Hats have been around for longer than what we think. It's just that they haven't had the upper hand for a while, until the 1950s and 60s. That's where they started gaining momentum. And so, I believe that Trump already is working with the Federation at the highest level of, he's been briefed. He's been briefed about the galactic scenario, and he's definitely working with the White Hats. And there's also an imposter Trump, and that's the one that's pushing the medicine, by the way. So those are two different Trumps. It turns out that the deep state actually cloned him in order to, make him seem like he's promoting the medicine, but in essence, he's really not. So there's two Trumps. The original Trump is actually still running the United States government from behind the scenes. So in a sense, there's two coexisting governments in the United States. There is the original constitutional republic that is still being run by him and the White Hats, and then there's the quasi-fake government that was hijacked by big tech and the deep state and all their chromies behind them. So that's all coming to an end now, and a lot of it has to do with also perfect timing. They're waiting for this alignment to take place that is going to ensure victory over the dark or over the deep state and bring down, all the stuff that they've been doing the last few years, trying to bring us forces into this, global digital, government, one world government. All that stuff's not going to happen anymore. It's been undone. Yeah.
How do you know it's been undone? I mean, you sound really knowledgeable and very experienced. And I wonder, wow, where do you get this information from? And I know you've written books, which, by the way, I would love to put in the description below so that people can have a look and order as well. But how do you know this information?
Because I'm an awakened starseed. I actually consider myself a cosmic ambassador to the Federation in human form. And so that's the reason why I am in tune with what's really going on, is because, the Federation has already put our solar system under Syrian jurisdiction. The Syrian High Council is at the head of the galaxy. They're the ones who anchored in the office of the Christ, the office of everlasting light and life. And so the Syrians are already overseeing the ascension of the planet. And it's secure. We have nothing to worry about. And that's how I know, because, I'm constantly connecting with different, meetings that are taking place in other dimensions, and I'm able to bring forth the information.
Wow. Do you think that, I'm 32. Do you think that I will see this in my lifetime? What do you think I shall expect to see in the next 10 years?
Oh, dramatic changes. Actually, within the next few years. We do have a deadline, no later than 2028. So yeah, I expect to see dramatical changes, from the current world paradigm. Everything is going to collapse. The governments, the educational system, the pharmaceutical cartel, everything that was designed to keep us blocked and oppressed is going to dissolve. And in place is going to be reinstated by a better type of structure that benefits all of humanity. And then, of course, that's all going to lead to first contact and the reinstatement of the Earth back to the galactic community.
Will there come a point? You said, so before I ask you that one, you said that 2028 is a deadline. Can you explain how you got that figure?
Well, yeah, of course. Basically, there is this thing called minimum solar cycle, which is what we're undergoing right now. That's where we're getting, the most increases of CMEs in the last few months. And then there's this thing called maximum solar cycles, which peaks in between 2026 and 2028. And many believe that sometime between 2022 to 2028, we could expect the great solar flash any time between now and then. So we do have a time frame based on these planetary and stellar activation cycles that take place every 25,000 years as our own star orbits, a greater star known as Alcyon. And that's how they're able to calculate these changes, because these changes have happened over 5,200 times in the history of the Earth. Because the truth of the matter is that, Earth has a history that goes to 2 billion years of civilizations here on the planet. Atlantis was just rather a newcomer civilization. But before Atlantis, there's been many civilizations that have risen and fallen that were actually interplanetary and stellar, and that, were erased from the history of our planet. And so that's what I actually talk about in my book, is I reveal these ancient civilizations and I tie it into the galactic history of our universe, pretty much.
So, when you say that the AI has destroyed other universes, and galaxies, and other civilizations specifically, what happened to their souls? Did they also die as well? Can your soul die?
No, your soul never dies. So those humans that were destroyed by the AI in these other galaxies and universes have actually reincarnated into other universes that are still organic, because the soul still continues to incarnate. In essence, we are spiritual beings.
So really, whatever happens to anyone, we're, in the future, we'll always be okay, because we're a soul. Exactly. And it's eternal.
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you think there will come a time where we would exceed the age, of 100 to live much longer than 100, as it were before, like, 700-800 years old?
Absolutely. And it's going to happen as our dormant DNA comes online, because the more DNA we use, the longer we live. For instance, our Pleiadian brothers and sisters, by the way, who are our parent race, they actually live for thousands of years because they use 12 strands of DNA. If you want to talk about other advanced races that have lifespans for 100,000 years, they have up to 24 or 48 strands of DNA. So the more strands of DNA we use, the more immortal we become. And we have the potential of actually using up to 144 strands of DNA. No other being in the multiverse has that ability like we do, as we continue ascending. Yeah.
So do you think you and I will live longer than 100 in our lifetime today?
Definitely. Especially if the solar flash takes place between now and 2028, our bodies are going to transform. We're not even going to taste death. We're just going to go from one form of reality to the next with a new modified body that is less denser and, more immortal, living for thousands of years.
When you say less dense, does that mean that when I step on the scales, I would be much lighter, or?
Yes, because you're going to be using more of your light body than your carbon-based DNA. You're going to be using a different type of body that is still physical, but is interchangeable with pure energy. And that's the difference between a fifth dimensional person and a third dimensional person, is that a fifth dimensional person has the ability to convert their mass into pure energy at will and travel through their light body into any realm, any dimension, in any place, and then rematerialize there.
So let me explain that. So once we have the ability to use our light bodies, where would my body, my physical, carbon body be during that time? Will it be just resting?
It's going to be spiritualized, transformed. You'll still do the same, but your body composition will be different. Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. This bit is new to me. Wow. Do you think there will come a time as well when you say, when the solar flash happens? Do you think, our consciousness will expand to 100%?
It's going to go up in increments to about 90% of the population, because those are still considered younger souls. But for the star seeds, the celestials that are incarnated in human form, who are the wisest souls in the universe, who volunteer to come here and bring the fifth dimensional energies to the planet, they are going to live for thousands and thousands of years. Yes, but there's going to be different levels of upgrades. If you're a starseed, you're going to live for thousands of years or more. And then within the starseed nation, the oldest of souls are going to live longer than that. And then the majority of the people that are considered young souls, which are the non-starseeds, they're at least going to live up to 600, 900 years, like we used to in biblical times. So everyone's going to get upgraded.
So how does one person know that they are a starseed?
If you've ever felt different, if you never quite fit in society, if you always questioned everything, if you launch for home, like where you feel a sense of not being from this earth or this realm or this dimension, and things just are not like it used to be, is because you're a starseed, And I actually just started teaching my first online course where I describe, the mission of the starseed, the characteristics of a starseed, and then of course, I talk about all the different star races that exist that allows people to see, who they resonate with. And so.
How about all those people? I mean, most of the viewers, I would say, could be starseeds, because we're all the black sheep where we were different in our families, and we all spoke about the truth, or called conspiracy theories. I mean, and we've had a difficult time, or even at school. Would you say those types of people are starseeds?
Oh, yes. I think everybody that is awakened, that knows the truth, that is, rebelling against the mandates, and they have been, are starseeds, because they don't believe in that stuff. And they're aware of what's really happening, as opposed to the sleeping masses who are constantly being programmed by the media. So yes, most definitely. I strongly believe you're a starseed. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing this, bringing awareness to the people.
I mean, it's amazing that so many starseeds right now are watching this interview.
It is. Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So how about those who are not starseeds, who are victims, that they're here on a spiritual journey? I mean, do you believe that will they just know everything after? Will there be a certain light that, and consciousness that will hit them where they will just get it?
Yes. Once we reach critical mass, which is at least 10% of the world population that have consciously ascended into the fifth dimension, that's going to cause a sudden catapult for the rest of the planet to be in the fifth dimension. So we're getting close to that. And what that means is that even if you're not a starseed, you're going to have an awareness of what's really going on. So they will be aware. They will have an expansion of consciousness as well.
Are there any humans, innocent humans who are at risk?
Yes, those that are pushing the mandates, that have decided to be a part of the transhumanist timeline, which will exist in a different parallel universe, by the way. Those that got the medicine and that are really pushing it, not the ones that did it, that got it under coercion and they had to keep their jobs and they were forced to it. But I'm talking about the ones that are pushing, that are, pro,
we won't say that. Yeah. The Jabadoos.
Pro the big guys that are pushing it. But those are the ones that are going into the alternative timeline, which is going to be characterized by AI and cyborgs and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately for them.
Because that's what they're manifesting without them realizing, right? That's what they're doing they're basically creating that future because they've decided to take that path. Is that why? Is it quantum genetics, quantum mechanics?
Yes. It was a collective choice done by, certain people.
Interesting. Wow.
Let
me see.
That's why the medicine is associated with what they call the mark of the beast. So
what happens to those who we'll call it the Jabadoos, okay? So just so that we're safe on YouTube as well. So those who have, taken the Jabadoos, and they've taken it believing that it's good for them, what will happen to them? I mean, how does that affect their DNA?
It all depends on their soul contract before incarnated. If they agreed to take it, but not fully be in support of it, like let's just say if they're not generally good people still, if they're out there, being of service to others and they're just generally good people, the solar flash will neutralize all the bad stuff, right? And that's in their bodies. But if they decided to, before they incarnated, to be a part of this transhumanist timeline, then no, they're going to be definitely eventually becoming cyborgs. So it all depends on the contract and on what they agreed to upon before incarnating.
How do you know that JFK Jr. is alive?
I've actually have a way to, I guess one of my talents, besides gathering information from the higher realms, is I'm able to remote view. So I'm able to see, what's really going on from behind the scenes. And what I see is that they actually did fake his death in our timeline, of course, because there's also a parallel Earth where he did die, in order to, work with the White Hats from behind the scenes. And he was actually the one who approached Trump back in 2014, to let him know how severe the situation has become and how he needed to step in and throw a monkey wrench in their plans.
Because I think they were very good friends as well, even before he officially died.
Yes.
JFK Jr. They were really good friends. So, maybe it was all planned for them to do it. When you watch the Trump interviews with Oprah Winfrey, and he said, "Oh, I don't want to run for president, but I would like someone to run that would do X, Y, Z." That was like getting the people to subconsciously want him to run it, so that I could see there was a preparation going on there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. It was part of, planting the seeds, so he was actually in an indirect way letting us know that, that there is a person that would do the job and, save us from the deep state and hence the world. And I believe he was referring to JFK Jr. Yeah. So
do you also believe that there has to be other people that we think who are dead, who are alive? Why wouldn't you fake your death to protect yourself and even help the Alliance drain the swamp?
Exactly.
We've seen Michael Jackson being friends with Donald Trump. Did you remote view to see if he was alive?
Yes, he's alive as well. And so is Marilyn Monroe, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
And the reason she was so close to Kennedy, it was because they were, in the times of them being in privacy, they were actually exchanging very top secret information.
Interesting. And who do you think Obama is and Hillary Clinton? Who are they really consciously?
Well, now they're clones. The real ones have been kind of arrested by the military, by the real military and the Earth Alliance. But their clones are just soulless bodies that are out there just kind of, carrying on the agenda of the dark side for the media, of course. But as you know, even the media will be,
dismantled, taken down.
Yeah, exactly. As I speak, I believe that the CEOs of the major media heads have already been warned. If you guys, they've been told that, their time is up. So we're going to start seeing things unfolding pretty soon.
So once we do move into this new world after the solar flash, what will happen to those clones that have no soul?
They're going to not exist anymore. Everything that does not have a soul, that is not connected to source, because by virtue of having a soul, you're connected to source. And that's what differentiates a biomine entity, which is what we are, to that of a cybernetic artificial one, which has no connection to source, and no emotion and no spirit, therefore. But they're going to be evaporated. Anything that does not have a connection to source through their spirit will be transmuted, destroyed. Yeah.
Wow. It's a bit like a sieve, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ishmael, it's been great having you on. Thank you very, very much for sharing your thoughts with us and everything. I'd love to put the link below of your book so that people can have a read as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yes. The power of the now. As you know, we are co-creators of reality. And so our minds are constantly shifting and coding or adding or programming the quantum level of reality. So one of the ways that we can make sure that we are creating what we want in reality is by always being in the here and the now. Because by being in the here and the now, you're actually putting energy into what you want. You're not worrying about the future or worrying about the past. You're actually putting energy into the type of reality that you want. So if you guys could practice a form of meditation on a daily basis, I would encourage you to do so that way you have absolute control of your thoughts every second of the day. And another thing is, if you would like to learn more about if you're a star seed or about the galactic history and how to activate your 12-strand DNA and how to become multidimensional and have that direct access to your higher self, I am teaching an online course every month that will, give you the tools that you need and the pretty much the understanding and the methods in order for you to become a multidimensional being again. And that's actually done through my Instagram. So if I could give you my link as well, that would be great. That's for information.
Of course. Well, Ishmael, thank you very, very much for that. And we'll speak again very soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Oh, one last thing, Nicholas. For those that don't know where to get my book, it's actually, you could order it through Amazon. It's called Our Cosmic Origin.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nicholas. Bye-bye.